Summer, Chapter 2. By the 1st of July, all of Mandy's plants were in full bloom. The garden was a mass of color, and she was beside herself with delight. It was a small miracle. She was kept busy with a lot of weeding, for not only the flowers thrived, but everything else as well. But it was worth it. The roses were blooming around the door, the nasturtiums were bursting all over the front flower beds, seeming to have no sense of direction and growing in a wonderfully untidy way, the curling stems hiding and twisting beneath the big leaves. Their flowers were mostly a bright orange or yellow, with an occasional mahogany red bloom, and they had a coarse, tangy fragrance, an unforgettable scent. The wallflowers were tall and dark and strong, in a sort of red brick or yellow color. The salvias were bushy and sharp crimson in flower, and the beautiful marigolds, Mandy liked them best of all. They looked as if they had actually caught hold of the sun, and it had burnished them to a golden orange hue. They stood so rigidly proud, a wondrous mass of tiny petals laid thickly one on top of another. In front of them, the lovely pansies with their sweet faces and beautiful blotched markings were in all colors of red, apricot, deep yellow, blue, and velvety black. Mandy couldn't believe that such generous blooms could grow on such fine stalks. The sweet alyssum grew in clumps to begin with, but it spread and spread as the summer wore on. It gave off a sweet, delicate perfume that was particularly noticeable in the late afternoon and early evenings. Mandy's garden received many visitors. Bees, snails, ants, and worms, the beautiful butterflies, and all manner of tiny creatures that she'd never seen before. The birds came too, blackbirds, thrushes, finches, blue jays, even a tiny wren. Chip was a constant visitor now, and seemed to bring all his relatives as well as his own babies to visit. Mandy loved it all. She worked in her garden every chance that she had. She purchased a large pair of garden scissors from Mr. Simple and painstakingly used them to cut her tiny lawn. They were the best things she could think of in order to level the grass. It took her ages and her hands were blistered, but she found it all worthwhile. She purchased other items too: cornflakes, powdered milk, a small loaf of bread, sugar, and a pot of Marmite. Every afternoon, immediately after school was over, she made herself tea at the cottage and sat on her doorstep, drinking and enjoying the peace and quiet before commencing her chores. One afternoon she made a pleasant discovery. She had been trying to tidy up some of the weeds at the back of the house near the kitchen door. Mandy noticed a large object lying half hidden in the long grass. She picked it up and discovered it was a garden broom. The head of the broom was made of fine twigs bound together, and it would be splendid for tidying the pathway and the doorstep, and even inside the house. Mandy was delighted with her find. July progressed and the good weather continued. Mandy used the new route to the cottage every day and found that going through the little iron gate made the traveling much simpler, especially when she had things to carry. Sue occasionally suggested taking a walk in that area, but Mandy always found a reason to dissuade her. The summer holidays were approaching. Mandy planned to clean the inside of her house from top to bottom. She wanted to do it once the school term was over so that she could really take her time. She began collecting a supply of cleaning things so that she would have the items at hand when she needed them. Funds were short, of course, but now that she had taken what she wanted in the way of cutlery and china from the orphanage, she began to hide away small things like a bar of soap or a washcloth. And one day she stole a large box of soap from the store cupboard. Mandy's conscience troubled her, but she told herself that as soon as she had saved up enough money, she would replace the items and no one would ever know the difference. Unfortunately, the difference was spotted almost immediately.